it's really critical that you understand that piece. If you come away with anything, make sure that that's the one. Building relationships with donors is the key. Number 2, we're going to understand the 3 T's of fundraising. Number 3, you'll learn how to write a letter of intent for a grant. In fact, believe it or not, if you don't have a notebook and a pen, please grab one, because you will be participating in actually developing one today. And if I see you get up and get it, no problem, no big deal, no feelings hurt here. The other thing is that for those of you who have never done it before, I'm going to teach you how to make a $50,000 ask. That was just a number that I selected. Just so you know, in my previous life, I used to be a major gifts officer for United Way Silicon Valley. And about maybe 60% of everybody that I would ask money from as individuals would give approximately $10,000 or more. My biggest ask was $550,000 for a lunch, and ended up getting that donation. So I'm going to teach all of you how to do that today. And then at the end, I'm going to teach you that if you build it, they will come. How does that sound? Is it aggressive enough of an agenda? Hopefully you say yes to that.
Yes.
So in order for me to kind of give you an overall aspect of what it is that I do, I'm going to share with you a story. And this one is my personal story. I started off as being first generation everything. First generation to go to college, the first one in my family to go to college. So for me, as a university student, I became a spokesperson. I'd go to high schools, I'd motivate people. That's when I first learned that I was really good at a soapbox. And then thereafter, I went into education, because what I had learned, I wanted to then pay it forward. And so that was critical for me. So I went into teaching. And then soon thereafter, I got a position to train teachers on how to develop desirable skills. And these were mainly for high school students, teaching teachers how to connect students to the STEM areas. And this was during the .com period, one of my first experiences in nonprofits. And so during that time, we were teaching students to be, good in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. As you know, STEM is really popular now, but back then it was, not to overshare, but I would say probably the early 2000s when we were starting to teach that in the classroom. And then soon thereafter, in doing all of this, teaching project-based learning, math, engineering, all of that, I ended up getting my first program director position at the 3rd Street Community Center, which is downtown San Jose. If some of you know it, may not know it, it's in the lower level of the First Unitarian Church. And that's my first nonprofit. I was the first director for that agency. And so for me, I had an after-school program, and that after-school program worked with kids between 2nd and 6th grade. Now, I had just trained a bunch of teachers on how to be able to teach STEM to high school students. And I thought, why not 2nd graders, right? So we started teaching them on how to be able to learn how to do project-based learning. We'd give them help with their after-school programs. And then we started developing the type of program that didn't exist out there. We connected ourselves to the Tech Museum. We got a chance to be there every Tuesday. We'd go there and we'd study what, different areas within the tech were teaching in math and science. And then we would actually teach to the kids. And so our kids, our 2nd graders through 6th grade, they ended up learning robotics. They learned, some trigonometry, geometry. They ended up learning advanced skills. And the next thing I know, the program hit off. Money started coming in from everywhere because people wanted to give to a really successful program. It ended up becoming something really unique, impressive. I became extremely passionate about what I was doing. And of course, when that happens, you spread your passion to then your volunteers, and the passion goes to the donors, and the passion goes to everybody, right? The kids get inspired, they do better in school. The whole system changed dramatically. And then of course, my role changed as well. My board was really happy with everything that was going on. And so what they wanted to do was recognize me for my good effort. So I became the first baby executive director. Can you guys actually see that right side? Just making sure that you could see that. Yes? You all can talk, it's okay. Um,
Yes, we can. I can see it. You're talking
oh,
about baby executive director,
yeah, so I was
the
the
blue
first
part. Yeah.
baby executive director. I learned that terminology from the attorneys that I now manage. They always talk about baby lawyers. Well, I was the first baby executive director. Cute and everything. That's not me. I have curly hair, but I'm sure I was that adorable as well. So anyways, so what did it mean to me to be an executive director? An increase in pay, which was great. When I asked, what do I do now that I'm in this role? I was told, continue what you're doing. Everything's going great. Good. Okay. You're just going to be more involved with the board and funders. Okay. Good. So what does that mean with the kids and families? And basically, leadership told me, well, you have other staff to do that. You're going to be primarily focused on continuing to grow, have that great storyline that you're doing to everybody, and move forward. And though ideally the thought of doing that made sense, but remember, I was like in the middle of this amazing thing. I was in my 20 somethings, I was changing the world. And now I was really unsure about what I was doing. And that was really terrifying for me. It was really scary. And so for me, moving from being primarily focused on my community, the kids, their families, and volunteers, I now had to focus my energies on fundraising. And though I was good at it because I could tell people my passion, what I ended up feeling was very trapped. How can you be creative doing administrative work? I thought to myself, right? The lack of balance. I didn't really feel like I was still serving my community. So what I started doing was kind of a strain from the office a little bit and going and visiting the kids and walking with them and going on tours with them wherever they were going, because I needed to be reconnected to truth. And for me, that was really difficult when I didn't understand how to do that. So for some of you that are joining the fundraising committee, for you, you want to make a difference. You want to be the one to help raise dollars for really good purposes, but you may not necessarily know how, and you're hoping somebody else does, and you'll just join them and then learn along the way. For me, it was a little terrifying because I was getting really good at one particular thing, and all of a sudden now I need to do something else, and I felt really disconnected. First, I was 20 something and excited about what I was doing, and then now I was 20 something and feeling that I had really lost my way. And so, again, like I said, I was trying to, escape, and until one day I got my chance. And a lead person that, would go and pick up the kids along with other volunteers was out sick. And I had a meeting with a funder at the same time. And so what do I do? It was simple in my head as a young 20-something-year-old. I'm a very different person now, obviously. That was eons ago. I really thought to myself, well, if I do right for my community, then that's the right decision. And so I went to go pick up the kids. I mean, there was no way I'm going to leave this stranded little child in this picture, right? Out there in the cold. By the way, it was middle of summer. They would have been fine. There were other volunteers. They could have done it. But there was a part of me that just felt like, okay, this is maybe a calling. This is maybe what I need to be really doing, is paying attention to my community. So I chose to go. And sure enough, when I left like this, of course. I wanted to make sure there's different, genders here. So, but this is basically what I look like, right? In my professional attire, running to go pick up the kids to save them. When I got back, the donor had left, and my boss, who was there, was not too pleased, and said, "Hey, what happened?" I explained the situation. She said, "Well, maybe you could have sent somebody else." And I said, "Well, you can't leave kids out there. We have a responsibility, and ultimately, if I do right by my community, again, then I know I'm making the right decision." And she said, "Well, but if you don't raise money, you can't continue to serve that community." And we were in a deadlock. I wasn't budging, she wasn't budging, and it was the first time I had ever heard of we'll have to agree to disagree. I didn't find out back then that what I know now. Executive director longevity on average last between 1 and 2 years of doing this work. And is it because it's hard work? Is it because it's uncomfortable? Or is it because it's disconnected to truth? And I realized back then that, yeah, it was uncomfortable. It was hard work. I wasn't doing what I thought I was passionate about. But in reality, and I'll explain later, is that it isn't too hard of work. And you'll only get uncomfortable if you don't practice it. And disconnected to truth, well, what is truth, right? And you'll realize that as I'm describing all of this, that I did really come to terms with everything. And again, this is about the relationship, developing relationship. So I decided to go off to Nicaragua, and I did a documentary on the educational system, and that's for another day. And here I am coming back. I'm the one with the curly hair. And I went to Sacramento, and I decided that what I wanted to do was do what I used to say to myself in college, was that the key to success is to make whatever your weakness is your strength. And so hopefully I can help you guys do that today. And for me, during this time, I wanted to immerse myself in that. I wanted to only focus on fundraising. So I chose to apply to positions that didn't connect me really to community. It disconnected me to full on straight fundraising. And I actually found it. I was the executive director of the Woodland Healthcare Foundation. And my sole purpose was to raise money for the foundation for brick and mortar or for equipment. Nothing else. I wasn't really chatting it up with folks. I wasn't convincing anybody that education is the way to go. I wasn't convincing anybody anything beyond giving to the foundation so the foundation would be able to raise significant dollars. And within my first month, I went to my first fundraising event. They had been doing this event for 20 years straight. So after a while, when you do these events, you end up being really good at it, and it's you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. We would order ornaments for $25, have them engraved. People could put whatever they wanted to put on them, and we would sell them for $150. We would sell a little bit over 100 and make about $15,000 per year as a guarantee with very little effort. I thought ideal. So I still do this today. Every time there's an event, I buy a new suit. I think it's just an excuse to buy a suit, truly. But I would always do that. I'd buy a new suit and go to my event. And that's exactly what I did. So at the event, I came in with my suit, check. Ready to schmooze, check. Arrived early, check. Connected with the board upon arrival, check. No need to speak. And so I would just be introduced, and all I had to do was practice my Diana wave. And that was it. But as I got there and I started walking around, to my horror, what did I see? I saw tables with no linen. I saw cookies still sitting in a Safeway box, and coffee and tea to serve yourself fashion. And I was appalled. I thought, wow, this is a lot of money, and yet they're not getting something fancy in return. And so I thought to myself, that's the first thing that's going to change. And so then we started. And when we started, the board member this is not my board member. I just took this down from the Woodland Healthcare Foundation page for the last event that they had. I think it's like their 30th or something. But the board member would go ahead and start. And it was the first board run event that I had ever participated in. I thought that was kind of cool. I was so used to doing it all on my own. So this was the first board one. They introduced me. I did my Diana wave. And then we went ahead and got started. And boy, was I shocked. He said, let's go ahead and start because we have a lot of names to cover. And I didn't quite understand what he meant by that. It wasn't until the first words came up on the screen. And this is what it said. We're about to name those who have passed from the hospital. And I was, my mouth dropped. And I looked to see what people's reactions were. And because I was so used to, showing off the kids and look what we're doing and look how amazing they are, that all of a sudden here we're talking about death. And as I turned to look at everybody, what I saw was something I had never experienced before. I saw people reaching out to each other, holding each other, crying. The doctors that were on my board were out there with the community, and they were the doctors that worked with the wife or the husband that had passed away from cancer. All of a sudden, I just saw a whole other level of humanity that I really had not been exposed to. For the most part, my first experience with Third Street was what I was able to do with the kids, and that's inspiration in and of itself. Here I was inspired by the donors who purchased their ornaments in memory of their loved ones. And I saw people hugging and kissing and just being really passionate with each other's experience to having someone have passed away. Keep in mind, Woodland Healthcare only has one hospital. They only have maybe 2 high schools. This is between Sacramento and Davis. And so they all grew up together. So they've all seen each other. They've maybe are interrelated, but they had a relationship with each other. The hospital wasn't just a hospital as a standalone. It had a relationship with the people that it worked with. Then after those names were named off, they went to the babies that were born that year. And then you saw smiles on people's faces. People who had just cried, wiping them off and smiling because, there's new life, and life goes on, right? And then it was the anniversaries, and then it was, baby's first Christmas and all of that. And so for me, the idea that I was stuck on the cookies from Safeway or the coffee and tea was really not important, because at the end of everything, the kids that were there, they were the only ones getting cookies. All the other adults were collaborating and talking and sharing stories about their loved ones. And so it was the first time that I saw an entity, an organization really develop in and of itself. It wasn't about, the dance, the tap dance in front of the donors. It was really about the donors are us and we are them. And as I continued to work with this group, I realized a lot of things. The first one is that I had a really warped conception of donors. I expected donors to give money to serve my community. I didn't realize that my community is everybody. I didn't realize that before. I know that now. When I look at donors that give, I look at the volunteers that are here at this meeting, whether you're from Cupertino or San Jose Rotary, or this Rotary in particular. The reality is that you're choosing to volunteer your time, and there's a cost to your time, right? There's a value to your time that you're choosing to do that. So for me, it's really interesting to have changed and grown so much since then. First, my relationship at Third Street was about the kids, their families, and the volunteers. And then the monies would come in. How? I don't know. They would just come in, I'd apply, and then great, we have more money to do the work that we need to do. I really didn't correlate it and connect it to the fact that the donors, the staff, and the clients are also my community. And that really changed my perspective and my passion towards serving that community. I realized that each one of those donors, staff, and clients needs something. And whether it's to feel that they are making a difference in the community by volunteering, maybe it's because they want to give, to a charity that they truly believe in, or maybe they want to volunteer like I'm volunteering for all of you. Believe it or not, I'm one of your donors now, right? Because I'm dedicating my time to all of you. And I had never seen it that way. I always kind of looked at it as, okay, fundraising, ask people for money. But it was really like, well, why would they give? How long have they been involved with us? What is the relationship that we have with them? How can we build a relationship so that they can give? I had never looked at it that way. And I think if you come away with anything, I hope me telling you this story, makes an impact. As I mentioned to all of you, I was part of United Way Silicon Valley, and what United Way does well is we fundraise. There was 50 fund developers in it, and we would always talk about the 3 T's. Has anybody ever heard of that before? Just kind of raise your hand. Okay, so the 3 T's are time, talent, and treasure. You have those people that can give of their time. All of you are giving your time right now, as well as myself. We're all giving our time right now. These are donors, by the way, for anybody who wants to jot down the importance of this. We're all donors, right? I actually contract with nonprofits, and have been for many years. I mentor executive directors, and there's a value to that amount of time that you're dedicating, right? So those that can give of their time, and then those that can give of their talents. Someone who has fundraising experience, maybe somebody has managerial experience. I've worked with Littler Mendelson some years back, and I got a volunteer who wanted to help us, teach us, employment law, because we were having some issues with some employees. And so they wanted to dedicate their time and their talent and their time to do that. And so those pro bono hours that we were getting, along with us getting pro bono attorneys to dedicate their time, that's all a part of their time. But those that actually teach is their talent. And then treasure, we all know what that is, right? Money. We always think that, fundraising is about money, but it's all of these things. And what's kind of cool about this 3T tier is that you're going to find members, and there's probably members on this call right now, on this Zoom call right now, that give their time, talent, and treasure. And those you want to identify who those people are, because they truly believe in your mission. These are individuals that will have a relationship with you forever. And so later on, I don't know if you ever want me to come back, hopefully. I don't know if you ever want me to sit down with, the main fundraiser, or however, you can identify those that give of their time, talent, and treasure, and see how long they've been giving. And make sure that you recognize them, right? Again, it's about relationships. I have donors that I recognize every year, and some of them are funders, they're agencies. The California Office of Emergency Services gave us $250,000 and have never been recognized by one of the agencies that they give to, ever. They never got an award. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I don't care if they're government. Recognize them, because it's about the relationship. In fact, after my event, the 3 people that came from Los Angeles said to me, Sandra, thank you so much. Well, they
Sorry.
said,
that's your 25-minute note. So
okay, great.
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
We're good. They said, Sandra, this was amazing. It was great to hear all the things that you're doing. Just so you know, we're going to fund you for another 3 years. I mean, imagine what went on in their heads when they got recognized for the first time, and they're hearing from our volunteers and our clients all the impact that we're making. And now, of course, they're going to want to volunteer more money and donate more money, because they truly believe in what it is that we're doing. Again, it's about that relationship, and that relationship can't be one way. So there's 3 different ways to raise dollars. There's events, grants, and individual donations. How long would it take to see the fruit of each? This was something I was going to ask you guys to participate in, but I'll go ahead and just let you know what it is, since we don't have that much time. The first one is events. Events can take between a year, 6 months. If you do it on a regular, you could do it in three months. And then grants. Grants could take up to 6 months to find out whether or not you received a grant. Individual donations, those can be immediate. So depending on your nonprofit that you're helping, if you're wanting to raise immediate dollars because of cash flow, or because you're wanting to do something within the next couple of months, try individual donations, because once they say yes, they can write a check, and there you go. You've got the money to be able to do it. And then the difference between restricted and unrestricted donations, for those of you who know, in the world of fundraising, in the world of nonprofit 501c3s, you should know the difference between restricted dollars and unrestricted dollars. Just by the nods of heads, do you know what that means? Yeah, okay, one said no, so I will explain. Thank you, Sandra. That basically means that when a donor gives you money, they're giving it to you for a particular purpose. It means it's restricted. So maybe I give Sandra Lee, she asked me for $100 and I say, you know what, Sandra, I want that money to go to a lunch because you all do such great work. You can't use that $100 for something else. You must use it for the lunch. Can you ever say no to a donation? Heads, yes, no? Yeah, you can say no to a donation. You can absolutely say no to a donation. If somebody wants to give you money and they say, well, I need you to change your mission, no. You could say, no, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. One time at 3rd Street, a man came and he cleaned out his garage and he gave me all this stuff. He's like, I'm sure you guys can use it for something. I said, no, we do science. I'm not going to take your old, shoes. Thank you, but no thank you. And he got really offended. He never gave money, and that's okay, right? You've got to be true to yourself, right? The dog wags the tail. The tail does not wag the dog. So just know that you have that opportunity, that you can do that. How much time do I have left?
So 2.5 minutes, but we could give you the Q&A time if people don't want to ask questions.
Okay.
Or take a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I'll make this quick so we still have enough time for Q&A, okay?
Okay.
So grants is the number 3 agenda item. What you want to do with something like this is you want to look at, this is an exercise actually, you can talk about issues that are impacting the community. So maybe your issues are about children and children needing after school programs, but there's not enough out there. So you can talk about, well, what kind of after school program can really make a difference in the community, and think on the basis, if I had all the money in the world, what could I do with that? And then you come up with some really creative ideas. And when you do that, you're able to now start thinking, and again, this is an exercise for all of us, you start to think that maybe there's an opportunity to be able to raise enough dollars so that you're able to create the types of programs that you need. The big thing about grants is that they're a pie in the sky. When you write a grant, you're writing what you think could work if we had this money. And it's really relatively easy. Again, like I said, if you guys want me to come back, we can do this exercise, and it would be an opportunity for you all to be able to write up a proposal and be able to say, this is what I would like to do for, the elimination of gangs in our community, or, a place for children to go after school. And then you make it really unique, and then you make your argument. And when you're able to make that, and you're able to, as a group, to present to one another, that's basically a letter of intent. You come up with the name of your organization, and let's say you're the Timbuktu's, Rascals. And the Timbuktu Rascals are a group of people that want to offer, an opportunity for children to be immersed in new types of education and creative learning. Well, how do you do that? Well, you want the parents to be involved, you want the school to be involved, and then this money will allow us to give a stipend to the parents, to give a stipend to the school, to give a stipend to volunteers. And then you create your budget. And that's basically what a letter of intent is. Individual campaigns, we just talked about it. I think this is a good one to be able to do. So if you have an event, what was one of your last events that this group had? Somebody could just tell me.
Fundraising event was a talent show.
A talent show. Okay, great. Okay, Sandy Day, I want you to ask me to give $2.50 to your campaign. These are the things you know about me. I'm a huge fan. I've made donations. I've made donations for the last 10 years. Okay. So go ahead and just make an ask.
Hi, Sandra. It's so
Hey,
nice to
Sandy,
meet
how
you.
are you?
I am doing so great. It's nice to see you here. I've heard your name for the last 10 years, and it's just amazing to finally get to meet you.
Oh, well, I just love this organization. You guys just do such good work. I wish I could donate more time, but, it's just hard.
You know, it is hard, but we're really doing some great work out there. In fact, we just had a talent show that connected communities from across the nation that never would have had a chance to come together. And we did it in an opportunity of asking for small donations just to recognize the benefit of the talent show. And all of that's going to benefit our homeless shelter that we fund once a month. So
Oh, wow. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
we're still accepting donations for any of that.
Oh,
I'd love you to check out our talent show, see the talent that we brought in, and let us know how you felt about it and what we could do better. And if you feel the love, we'd love you to give $1, 2, 3, just to let us know that you visited.
okay, great. Yeah. Do you want $1, 2, or 3?
3 would be the best, but I'm not greedy.
Okay, okay. So here's the thing, always say the amount. It's
Okay.
okay. You always want to say the amount. I thought that was perfect. That was excellent. You ready for the next one? Change that $3 to 50,000. But you don't have to say all of that, everything that you just said. Just make the ask now.
Oh. You've been a valued member of this organization for an extremely long time, and you have been a founding donor for many of our cornerstone projects. And we are really coming into a new era in connecting communities and working with our disabled community. And we'd really love to bring you in as a foundation donor at the $50,000 level.
Wow. Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable. Can you send me a little bit of information of what that will pertain, or is there a recognition at that level and all of that? I'm sure there is.
Absolutely. We have a package of recognition that I would love to send to you. And then I'd like to set another meeting with you, whether it's over the phone or just for coffee or a nice meal, and we could talk about it a little bit
That
further.
would be great. I would love that. I'll tell John about it. Okay. How does that
Perfect.
sound? Okay, great, Sandy. It was great seeing you, and look forward to talking to you soon.
I look forward to it.
That was a $50,000 ask. Simple. Keep in mind that most people that give will oftentimes only give once a year, a large donation. So really think about where they're able to give. When I was with United Way, what we did is we actually researched folks. We found out what types of things that they were interested in. So if they gave to children's programs, or if they gave to, environment, we would look at different types of things that we were doing and seeing if any of those correlated with that. We would see what the minimum donation was. If the minimum donation was 50,000, then we would ask for 50,000. In fact, John Sobrato at Santa Clara University, they sat down with him. They said, "Hey, so great to bring you here. We know you guys are doing such great things. Santa Clara is looking to raise some significant dollars. I know that you and your wife and your kids all went to Santa Clara. What would be a meaningful gift for you to give to Santa Clara?" And he gave them a little bit over, I believe it was $18 million in that conversation. While somebody's thinking $1 million or 2 million from Sobrato would be ideal, he said, well, this organization really means a lot. And it was how they sold it. It was how they were able to describe it to them. This is the last one, events. Events are easy. Who can tell me what movie this is? Anybody?
Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, build it. Yeah, exactly, right? If you build it, they will come. If you have an event, people will come. Even if you only have 10 people the first time, if you keep doing it. Events are really about consistency, finding a place. If you can't afford a place, then have a place donated for you. Finding food. If you don't know what food you're going to have, send out letters to different agencies and see restaurants to see if they would donate. And then find a purpose for the event. So you were just describing, doing a talent show to help, the disabled. Maybe that's the purpose. This year we're going to be focused on this. We work with domestic violence victims and others, but maybe this time we have an event that's only focused on domestic violence, which means that it's a restricted dollars and the monies can only be used for that purpose. But I can tell you that year after year after year, prior to going to the Pro Bono project, we always had events. We raised $50,000. It's always a given that we're going to get $50,000 from every event at minimum. So it's just now every year, without this year, unfortunately, because of COVID, but we're doing well. I'm very lucky to say that, for a very long time, myself, I was involved in raising dollars with United Way. I raised about 1.8 million. With the foundation, I raised 1.3, I think, in the first 8 months of a campaign. And then with the Pro Bono project, we raised 1.7 million every year. And I started off with them, they were making about $250,000 a year. We only had part-time staff. And now we have 9 attorneys. We have 11 staff total. Everybody's full-time if they want it. We have 2 people who've chosen not to be full-time. But we have a very, very strong budget. And so again, it was about the development and building relationships. So questions?
Excellent. Very good. So we have about 8 or 9 minutes for questions.
Okay, great.
This was really helpful. I mean, I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. And I think there are definitely some things we can put to use. So for example, in our talent show that we were talking about, we basically said that any donation would go toward the general fund, where we can help our community. And I'm wondering, after listening to you, if we were not specific enough.
If you're very specific and you change it every year, people will get used to that. So that's a good amount. I would also say, instead of saying give whatever you can, try saying we're doing a friend campaign. Maybe give $25 a month. It's not very much that we're asking. I actually had a Club 21 at the foundation. I got 500 people to apply for it, and we raised $250,000 of unrestricted dollars just by asking people to give $25 per pay period.
Wow.
Be very specific about what you're asking, because people will give you $5. But if you ask them for 20, they'll give it to you. So just think about what the amount would be and make sure that you do have an amount when you do ask for it.
And do you think it's helpful to say, X amount will help, in this way, and be specific about how that translates to our ability to help the community?
If you can do that, do it. I know that for us, we always say that for every dollar donated, it's leveraged with pro bono hours at $7 per dollar. So yes, absolutely. If you can figure that out, just make sure that it's true,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As long as you're able to figure that out, that's fine. But I think once you have your group of donors, and that's another thing too, develop your database. People that give per year, you want to always ask them to give the second year. And you always want to recognize them. Make sure you, announce their birthdays. If their birthdays are coming up, send them a personal card, send them a picture of you and staff or at an event. Thank you, you made this possible. Again, it's all about building relationships.
What's the best way you've seen in recognizing donors? Are we still, like for the large donors, are we still looking at handwritten cards? I mean, we're a small group and we haven't thought large enough yet in terms of corporate partnerships or, legacy donors and things like that.
Yeah, well, you mentioned a lot of different things there. So the first one is when people are donating and they are large donors, then if you can offer something to those large donors, maybe you do a story about why they've chosen to give to your organization, why your organization is important, and you put it in the newsletter. You have a picture of them with their dog or their family or whoever, and then you just describe how special they are and let the story be about them. People really enjoy that. For the large donors, you can choose to have, executive director can, have a dinner for those that give $10,000 or more. There's all kinds of different things. The one that I was describing to you as as a gift manager for United Way. It was a Tocqueville Society, and the Tocqueville Society had all of these little perks that if you're a Tocqueville member, then you got a discount here and a discount there. You know, there's all kinds of different things you can do. For the Club 21 people, they gave $21 or more. I actually, every 21st of the month, would pull the names out of a hat of those donors, and then they would get something like you would at an auction. It's okay to use some of those auction items that you get donated to be able to recycle them so that you can give them to people that donate. So yeah, if you could do all of those little things, that would be great. Legacy donors are a little bit different. Those are going to be the people that give the time, talent, and treasure. Those are the ones that want to put your name in on their life insurance. So if they do pass, that legacy donor can live on by that list. In fact, at the hospital, we had people that signed up for that, and they actually got recognized before they passed. So we were able to say, if you do this, we could name, one of the units under your name, and they could be recognized. Their family can be recognized for giving that donation, even though we hadn't received the money yet. And does it really matter? No, it doesn't.
So I have a follow-up question with that then. The clubs themselves are all chartered under Rotary International, and Rotary International has a foundation that's a 501c3, but we are all offshoots of that are not tax deductible for donations. There's a roundabout way for us to get donations to go into the foundation and then apply for money to come out. But would you see the benefit in just the extra work that a club of our size and possibly growing up to 50 to 100 people would have in being its own 501c3?
You know, it really depends on where you are as an organization. If you choose to be your own independent 501c3, there is a process to it. So there's always benefits to be under the umbrella of a larger agency, but it means that you're also having to sacrifice part of all of your efforts to that larger agency. And I don't mean, to downsize what Rotary International is doing as a whole, but it comes with its perks, and it also comes with a little bit of its challenges, right? You have to share a little bit of your success when you do that. If you become independent, you become a little bit more vulnerable too if you're smaller in size and you haven't really established a good fundraising foot. But if you're able to develop the skill set that you need to then become independent, then maybe under the umbrella makes sense until you feel strong enough to be on your own. Is that a good analogy?
Can I interject with a comment here from Cupertino?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I was president 20 years ago, and I've watched us grow from the point where we didn't have a club foundation through the point we've got a foundation with over $1 million in it. I highly recommend that as soon as you can, you establish your own foundation, because the Rotary Foundation money comes with significant you can do a World Community Service project, but it takes a lot of work and it's got to meet specific things. If you want to do your own stuff and you want to gather your own charitable money, you really need your own foundation. It's not all that big a deal to do it. If you got a lawyer in the club, they could probably figure it out for you.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. And seeing the way it worked with international. And the biggest thing is not being able to give tax deduction to the people that donate to us. It really is a hand tire when you're asking for something and really giving very little back except for emotion.
Yep, get your own foundation. That's my advice.
I know that I had a chance to mentor an executive director for the MESA program through San Jose State, and they always had to give any donations that came to the MESA program always had to go through the Tower Foundation at San Jose State. So they always kept a portion of their donation. I know how frustrating it was, but I think it's even more frustrating to be out on your own and not being able to handle it. So you want to be able to develop an infrastructure. I only say that as an important point, that once you're ready to do that, I think go for it. But I just want to make sure that you're not moving so fast to do it that you're not ready to stand on your own 4 feet or own 2 feet, right?
Great.
Any other questions? I know I went relatively fast, but I think what was really important to me that you came away with is that importance of that relationship that you can have with folks. The other stuff really is 10%, if not 20% of the rest of the work. If you have those relationships with folks, for one of the questions was, can we get money from like a larger corporate? Be involved with one or two of the staff members in that corporate, do activities with them, maybe have the corporate take on sponsorship. And if you have like a baseball game, maybe they buy the jerseys and you're now the Google team or what have you. Start developing that relationship with them so that you could be part of their federal campaigns or their larger campaigns. It's always a good idea to, again, continue having that relationship. You could even, if you know somebody there, you can even ask somebody, hey, does Google have space for us to have an event? We'd like to have, our event there because we think you guys have a beautiful campus. Highlight how amazing they are. And that allows you to have space for free. And it also builds a bond with the agency so that they feel that, oh, that was a good donation to them. And then they're a good agency. Oh yeah, we should continue to give to them. Yeah, maybe they should be part of our federal campaign. All of it is growth in relationships.
So I have a question related to that with the campaigns that you were talking about, especially since you worked for United Way. Because I work for Santa Clara County, and the annual charitable giving campaign is a major part of what we do. And they come together with the federations, like the local independent charities and those. So if we did not have our own foundation at this point, are you able to participate as a local independent charity and then get benefit of a donatable deduction for your staff through a corporate giving in that way?
Okay, so the first half of it, yes. But when you said donation for staff, can you describe that to me?
No, not for staff. Because since we're the 501c4, we're not deductible. But if we went in under local independent charities, and then United Way basically collects the funds and disperses them to the charities for a large campaign like Santa Clara County, does that then make those donations deductible?
Yeah, what you could do is just contact them and just say, hey, what do we need to do in order to be part of that list?
Okay.
And right now, so United Way Silicon Valley doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if you know that, but it's Bay Area, United Way Bay Area. Bay Area covers San Jose as well. So yeah, you can contact them and just say, hey, we want to be part of your federal campaign. What do we need to do? And they may say, well, you need somebody within the campaign to put your name forward in order to be part of that campaign. And sometimes that's all that it takes. They'll let you know. And that's another thing, the relationship, again, is not just with donors as individuals, it's also with agencies. I have really strong connections with, California Office of Emergency Service as an example, gave them an award. I talk to them in first name. I call them. If they need anything, if they need my report early, if they need me to do them a favor, I do it. Simply because it's about the relationship. So remember, even though they're big corporations or big federal or state agencies, they still have humans working behind those computers. And so you just develop those relationships with them. And maybe this is the first opportunity you develop a relationship with them. If they answer the phone, hi, this is Sandra from so-and-so. How can I help you? Say, hi, Sandra, this is so-and-so from this place, blah, blah, blah. Is there any way that we're wanting to do that? Oh, thank you so much, Sandra, for your help. Can I give you a call in a month when I get those answers for you? Thank you so much. And then that type of thing starts to develop that relationship with them. And you want to have the relationship with them because that's what we're doing, right? That's what makes us living this world so amazing.
Yep, agree. All right, thank you so much, Sandra. We do need to move to the business part of our meeting, so you're welcome to hang out with us, and really appreciate the wisdom and knowledge that you shared with us. I think this is very timely as we're trying to organize our fundraising calendar for the next 6 months and beyond, hopefully. But we're starting small, and I like the idea of doing events and building on it, so we're kind of already looking at doing things like that. So Anyway, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So
no problem. I left my information there. I'll stop sharing right now. And thank you
Great.
for the opportunity, everybody. It's nice to meet everyone.
yeah, it's
Thank
nice
you
to meet
very
you too.
much.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
All right, a round of applause. Come off.